Welcome to Feng Shui Living, the podcast designed for busy women who want to de-stress, live with intention, and create a home that truly supports their well-being. Each week, I'll bring you practical tips, insightful ideas, and simple strategies to enhance both your home and your life. Let's get started. Hello, friends. Welcome to this very special episode of Feng Shui Living. I'm your host, Lisa Morton, and I have LuAnn Cibik here with me today. LuAnn, say hi.
Hi. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Lisa.
So excited to have you for this celebratory conversation all about the Chinese New Year. So a little bit about LuAnn. You may have checked out the previous episode where I discussed Feng Shui with LuAnn. We talked about my journey, about Feng Shui in general. It was a great conversation. I'm going to put a link to that show in the notes. But if you're new to meeting her, wow, you are in for a treat. LuAnn Cibik founded Inner Harmony School back in 2002, and she passionately has dedicated herself full-time to helping students and clients discover inner harmony in their lives. She's a master educator for Denise Lin's Interior Alignment Feng Shui and Space Clearing Certification School, and also teaches various other modalities within the Lin Academy system, such as soul coaching, which I've experienced firsthand and is transformative. She has worked with clients and students worldwide. When she's not working, she's hanging out with her fur babies, making jewelry, attempting resin art projects, and walking through the woods at her 80-acre retreat center and home, which I've personally been fortunate to experience. It is a magical mountaintop in Pennsylvania. She also, I wanted to mention this, she also offers her unique Inner Harmony Forest Therapy certification. This is designed to make nature's healing accessible to those who need it most while promoting environmental stewardship. So I will also put some information about that in the show notes. Wow, LuAnn, thank you for joining me today.
I am so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to share about Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year and some of the things that we can do to make this coming year really powerful and transformative, because it promises to be transformative whether we're ready or not.
Right. Well, so we are here to celebrate. So the point of this episode is to come out about a week prior to the Chinese New Year, which is January 29th. And we're moving from the wood dragon into the wood snake. Now, I know in my personal life and a lot of people that I know, the dragon was wild. There were big moments that were difficult, also big moments that were really great. You know, I trained with you and did my master teacher certification this year. It was a huge life goal, big bucket list, big exciting check mark on my bingo board this year. So a lot of really big, energetic, impactful moments. Did you have any of these as well?
It was a big, exciting year. And like you said, some of it was wonderful and some of it was just darn scary. Um, but that's the energy of the dragon, right? Dragons are not tame little kitty cat like creatures curled up next to the fire. Dragons are big and bold, and big, bold things happen. And you can ride the dragon for an exciting ride filled with risks and adventure. And sometimes you might get a little burned by the dragon, but that is the year of the dragon. You know, it's great when you can harness that energy to make a project happen. And so I was super excited to have some really great students last year and some really great classes. And so I think that is riding that dragon successfully. Within our family, we also had some big surgeries that happened, and they went successfully, but it was all a little scary, you know. So that's Dragon Year. Um, and when I have a book here. I'm just going to hold it up. Um,
Yeah.
it's Lori Reed's The Complete Book to Chinese Horoscopes, and you know, when I read about the dragon in here, and this book was written a long time ago, and it's talking about Oh, political stuff happening and big upsets and you're like, my God, that does describe this past year. And yet this was written a long time ago. And indeed, all of these different year energies were something that the Chinese predicted thousands of years ago. They knew the pattern, they knew what each year's energy might feel like. So I just bring that up, and you bring it up too, because there's validity in paying attention to what the energy of the year is going to be and kind of planning accordingly.
Hmm. Planning. Well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to,
Hmm.
one, plan a party and celebrate, right?
Hmm.
But number two is plan and prepare. So let's talk about this wood snake. Now, I know we've talked before. I have a phobia of the slithery critters. I don't really even like to say their names. I'm trying to reframe it this year. Have a different approach where they're not those gross slithery critters, and something of transformation and shedding, and I'm trying to really embody that connection.
Hmm.
So, what do you have to share about this year?
So the Chinese did not look at snakes as vile little slithery things. They actually looked at snakes as a really powerful ally. Like if you had a snake around your house, now let's figure. Okay, it's 4,000 years ago. If you have mice eating your reserves of rice and corn, that's a bad thing for you. But if you have a snake who's taking care of the mouse population, that's a good thing. It's like a good thing around your house to have a snake. We don't feel the same way right now. Like if I saw snakes slithering in my house, I'd be like, eek. But they didn't have that same feeling about snakes. And they looked at snakes, they called them the little dragons. And that meant that they were still powerful, but they were much more of a yin energy. They weren't out there being big and bold. And if you see a snake, most of the time that snake does not confront you unless it feels it has no choice. Most of the time, a snake sees you coming, it goes the other way. They're much more introverted. They much rather just do their own thing. And so, this snake year, for us to embody it, means that we recognize still big things can happen, but they're not maybe going to be big, bold, in your face like Dragon Year.
Okay.
It's a year much more, they look at snakes as being refined and grounded and more mystical, right? They have this mystical, magical energy. And many cultures looked at snakes as this energy of transformation. And not transformation like you have to undo everything that you were and put yourself back together again in a different way, but taking everything you've consumed in life, right? Everything that you've learned, everything that you've gained, when a snake has consumed enough that it's growing bigger, its skin doesn't grow with it. And so it has to shed that skin to be a bigger, more wonderful snake. And that transformation might be a little bit uncomfortable. It doesn't just happen like that, but it wriggles itself out of that old identity to be a bigger snake in the world. So if we take that same concept of everything we've learned, everything that we've experienced and grew from, and thought about who's my next bigger self that I want to be, right? How do I want to present myself in the world now? And take this time to leave that old skin behind, right? It's not saying there was anything wrong with who we were before. It's just we're that and so much more. So I don't know, Lisa, does that help you embrace
Wow.
the snake a little bit?
I like the idea of calling them little dragons. I have this thing, if I don't like something, I give it a new name.
There you
Makes it
go.
easier. But me personally, I'll share this with the listeners. I always do the word of the year. I think it's kind of fun.
Hmm.
And this year I chose the word expert. In the past, I've always had this view of I want to study everything, I want to learn, I am a forever student. But I'm also not. I've done so much training, and I'm teaching various classes through various organization, through my own school, and I'm really trying to, as much as I will always think I'm a forever student, because there's always something interesting to learn in the world, right?
Hmm.
I'm also really trying to embody this expert role this year and just own it. Like I do know my stuff. So
Hmm.
it feels very appropriate for this year of the snake. So I'm kind of excited about my more excited about my word now.
You should be. You should be, because this is the year to transform that identity for yourself, right?
Mm,
And to really put it out there in a big way. And so for your listeners too, to think about, okay, what is it that I want to be this year? How do I want to be seen this year? And a lot of people talk about ways to shed that old skin of old identity is clutter clearing, right?
mm,
So in addition to the other Chinese New Year and party ideas that we're going to talk about, I want to suggest that everybody take a real good look around their space and think about what they have there. And a lot of times people think clutter has to be the junk piled up in the corner or things like that. But I've been in plenty of houses that are very neat and organized, but it's still filled with clutter in the sense it's things that hold on to a past identity that they no longer really are is a part of their life. So just because you have that stuff all organized and categorized, it could still be clutter that could hold you
mm.
back from really being in your new identity this year.
I love that because
Anything
sometimes I
come to
even
mind
say,
for you, Lisa?
well, I have been clutter clearing the heck out of my house. Just
Hmm.
random bits. It just feels really good this time of year too. Just like a refresh.
Hmm.
So I am trying to do a lot of clutter clearing. But something I also tell my clients is don't stress about clutter clearing everything. Maybe it's that one really intentional thing,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, and we should all do it. Like, one of the things I'm looking at is, when I set my business up 20 some years ago, I used good feng shui to empower everything and what all the different things I was offering. And one of the things I did way back was a class that combined belly dancing and yoga and meditation and then chocolate. And so it was a very fun class. But I was looking around the other day and I was like, oh, I forgot that I had all of these belly dance hip scarves and veils and things. And yes, is it organized and neat on my? It is. Is that a class that I intend to offer going into the future? Not really, right? And not because I didn't love it. It's just
Mhm.
we have to choose, right? Our time, our efforts, and it's just not the direction I'm going in. So my thing is like, I probably should release those things. And if I ever choose to have that class again in the future, well, then I'll buy new ones, right?
There you go.
So I think that's something we could all take a look at is what am I really keeping around here that identifies who I am moving forward?
Mm, so good. Oh,
Hmm.
wow. Well, let's jump into a little more, I guess, a little less deep, a little more fun, playful, and
Yes.
talk. We talked about clutter clearing, but also space clearing. Energetic space clearing of your home can be so powerful leading up to this time. We clutter clear, we tidy, we get it sparkling clean. And then we do the space clearing. LuAnn, what is your favorite way to do space clearing in your home?
My favorite way involves working with music, working with essential oils, and sometimes other sound tools. But when I'm clearing here, I tend to put on music, and it's not always like it's not normally sacred solemn music because I want my house to feel fun.
Okay.
So I will choose like fun, maybe even dance tunes, right? And as I move through the space, I tend to make a mix of essential oils in a little spray bottle, and I will spritz my space, and that's the way I will do kind of a refresh
Mm.
for just, I'll call it the day to day kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
for Chinese New Year, it tends to be a bigger space clearing than that. And working a little bit more with, I call ceremony, in
Mm.
terms of really holding an intention of how I want the space to feel, what I want to call into the space. So I might even make a little intention altar. Um, but my tools probably remain about the same. My favorite sound tool right now, because I have a lot, so different ones come in at different times. But right now, it tends to be my crystal singing bowls because they do such a deep clearing. I call it into the bones of the house, right? Into
Mm-hmm.
it goes into the walls and it really clears and resets everything. What's your favorite
Mm.
tool, Lisa? Or how do
My
you clear
favorite.
it?
Oh, well, I love the bell. I love the bells. I love the bowls. But I've been playing a lot with the elk drum. That pounding. I have to put the dogs out when because they
Hmm.
will bark and go crazy. But it's that vibration. Um, it's so powerful. I feel so connected to like the density of it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And something I want to share that I talk about a lot is don't ever feel like you have to use a specific tool, right? Because I have clients who are like, oh, I don't really like the smell of white sage, but I still use it anyway. And I'm like, don't use it if you don't love it because there are so many amazing tools
Yes.
beyond that. I also love to burn cedar or sweetgrass if you want to burn something, right? But there's so many options.
Yes.
Um, Maybe we need to just do a whole episode on space clearing tools.
Well, in ancient China, like not everybody had fancy space clearing tools. And so part of the way that they would clear the energy of their homes and use sound and use
Mhm.
intention, like the joy that they want to bring in, but they would clap their hands or they would get a
Mm.
pot and a spoon and they would bang on it. And of course, fireworks were a big way to like bang out the old energy to welcome the new energy in. So people can improvise, people can do whatever that kind of will just break up that old energy from the old year. Some of it could be great, but we're done with it.
Mhm.
We're done with that. It's in the books and we're ready for something new.
I love that. Nice, nice. Okay, so we clutter cleared, we tidied and made it sparkling, we did our space clearing, and now we can really celebrate moving into this fresh start. Something I love to do is really this is my kickoff for my year.
Mhm.
A lot of times, January 1st, everybody's like, what are your intentions? What are you doing this year? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to start thinking about it, right? Get the wheels turning, start doing some journaling, start doing
Mhm.
some meditation on what feels right.
Mhm.
Also, taking that time to experiment because you may have this plan in your head. And once you start to incorporate getting up at 6 a.m. to work out for an hour every day, you realize, I can only do, 4 days a week, right? And it's that experiment, experimental, experiential time to just see how it works and then modify, regroup if you need, and then really kick off on the Chinese New Year. So, if anyone watching has had just a complete flop of their New Year's resolutions, of their intentions, anything, this is your sign to take a big breath. It's all okay. Now is just an opportunity for you to recommit to that plan, that goal, maybe a newer, better version of that goal,
Mhm.
and move forward. So I think it's a great opportunity to celebrate, to get excited, host a party, make some delicious food. And something I love to do is the red envelope tradition. And, traditionally these are given to children with money inside. But I love to give them to anyone. So on this holiday, I'll take a bunch with me and I might add a gift card to a local coffee shop for a cup of coffee, right? Or some stickers. I know last year I did a bunch of just fun, playful stickers. Um, so many cool things you can do, and just it brightens someone's day. Just they might not even realize it's a holiday for anyone,
Mhm.
but it brightens someone's day. It makes you feel good to spread some good cheese, some good vibes to all those people you come in contact with that day, whether it's your morning barista at the coffee shop or a client meeting or just someone you run into at the grocery store. But I'd love to hear some ways you might suggest people celebrate this holiday.
Well, you're right on with this gifting and wishing somebody prosperity because actually the way the Chinese wish each other Happy New Year, they don't say the words that mean Happy New Year. They say words Gun Kao Fat Choi, which means I wish you prosperity. And so, what a beautiful thing, right? Wishing others prosperity, because it's just that law of attraction, like what you give others you will receive. So I love the red envelopes, I love the gift card idea. Traditionally they would also give oranges, and the reason why is the word for orange in Chinese sounds like gold, and so it's like I'm gifting you gold. And the orange color is like gold, so you might even think of like, maybe I'll get some extra bags of oranges and give oranges out to each people, and even just say, I wish you prosperity. And you might giggle about it, but why not? Why not gift people in that way? And even if you think, oh, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that, there's no reason why you can't even gift people with something as simple as kindness, or giving to an organization that you believe in, right? There's lots of ways to gift and give this time of year. And it was just a part of the ancient tradition. I mean, they celebrated Chinese New Year for 2 weeks. It went from the new moon to the full moon. And so visiting people, gifting people, eating well, was all a part of that time. And like you mentioned about having some great food, part of that isn't just a party. Part of that is saying, how do I want my next year to feel? And start living the way you want to feel. And even if you're like, well, I want to feel very, very, very rich, but you're not very, very, very rich yet, that's okay. Think about, how would your life feel? Like, what would you do differently? Would you drink your tea out of the fancy cup, right? Well, then drink your tea out of the fancy cup. Start living the way you feel that would be on that first day of the new year and every day of that 2 week celebration. They would buy new clothes to wear, starting so that it was like, oh, I have new things to wear. They would get their hair cut before Chinese New Year so that you weren't cutting away any of the luck after the Chinese New Year started. So there's lots of ways to get ready for our 2 week long party.
I love 2 weeks of partying. Oh my gosh. That's so fun. Wow. Well, friends, I hope this has got you to think about this holiday. Maybe you've never explored it before. This is your first time ever hearing about it. It is becoming more and more popular, I feel like, every year. But I'm so happy to have you join, LuAnn, and just explain what it is, talk about some history, talk about ways to prepare, and how we can honor this holiday and really use it as, I don't know, just a place to move forward and onward and embrace this year of the little dragon or the snake, and really just have a most wonderful year. LuAnn, do you have any final thoughts for the listeners today?
No, I'm just wishing everybody great prosperity and happiness in this new wonderful year. And I hope that you take the time to dream about who you want to be this year and take action on it.
Wonderful. Thank you again for joining me. We'll have you back another time because we always have great conversation. Thank you, LuAnn, and thank you everyone for listening. If you have any questions, reach out. Don't forget, I offer a free 15-minute discovery call. We'll see you next time. Are you ready to take your passion for helping people to a whole new level? Join my spring 2025 Feng Shui certification course. This journey kicks off in late March online with the online portion. Then we'll move into the immersive retreat experience held near my home in early May. It's beautiful and it's set in a nature-filled, peaceful, serene retreat space. This course is perfect if you're a coach looking to grow, whether you're a career, life, or health coach, if you're an interior designer, if you're a professional organizer, real estate professional, or just anyone who loves to really, truly help people. You will learn to master the art of Feng Shui and use it to create spaces that support well-being, also inspire success and joy. Don't miss this chance to elevate your skills and make a real impact. Visit elevatedlivingschool.com for more info and to reserve your spot. special thanks to our sponsor, Elevated Living School of Holistic Design and Feng Shui. For more information, head over to the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share this episode with a friend. We'll see you next time.